Hello fellow hunters, JBiz Hunts is back with another creepy video, and today we're tackling the ape in the room. The Hunter Call the Wild has had its fair share of cryptid rumors, and I'm here to get to the bottom of it. Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Yeti, Chichunya, the Wendigo, whatever you want to call it, the expansive world seems to have a bit of an obsession with these legendary creatures. In this video, I'll break down the myths, the hints, and where you can find references to the cryptid creatures of the Call of the Wild, as we try to find Bigfoot. Well, kinda. Let's dive in. First step of the journey in finding Bigfoot takes us to the original reserve, Hirschfelden, based in the country of Germany. I've heard rumors about secret cryptid footprints hidden in Hirschfelden, so I had to check this out for myself. The story goes that if you head to the shooting range and travel directly south to the small pond, you'll find mysterious footprints belonging to an unknown creature. Of course, I had to visit this at night, just in case there was a chance to see it for myself. Some say that these tracks belong to Der Wildemann, or the Wild Man, a legendary figure in Germanic and European folklore, often described as a large, hairy, human-like being roaming deep forests and mountains. He represents untamed nature, primal strength, and the wilderness beyond civilization. Stories depict him as both a guardian of the land and a fearsome entity, possibly even possessing supernatural wisdom and abilities. The Wild Man has appeared in medieval art, coats of arms, and folklore for centuries, reinforcing his reputation as a mysterious force of nature. But is this really what we're looking for here? Or is this just an Easter egg left behind by the developers at Expansive Worlds to tease the release of the Medved Tiger map? More on that later. Sure enough, there they were. The strange footprints, only a few. You can highlight them, but there's no trail to follow. So I must go to the next reserve and follow the trail. We take flight from the fields of Germany to the Pacific Northwest to the other base map, Layton Lakes. There was a time years ago when the strange howls echoed through the night on Layton Lakes, being set in the Pacific Northwest, a region with a rich history of cryptid lore. This only added to the mystery. The Pacific Northwest is known for its dense forests, rugged mountains, and vast wilderness, making it the perfect backdrop for one of the world's most famous cryptids, Sasquatch, also known as Bigfoot. This massive ape-like creature has been the staple of North American folklore for centuries, with the indigenous legends describing tall, hairy wild men long before modern sightings. The region spanning parts of the US and into Canada has produced thousands of reports, footprints, and even alleged video evidence of the elusive creature. Whether it's a flesh and blood species, a paranormal entity, or just an enduring myth, Sasquatch remains one of the greatest mysteries of the Pacific Northwest. I remember hearing eerie howls at night if you played on Layton Lakes. Those eerie howls, it genuinely was very creepy at the time. There's no direct mention of Sasquatch in the missions on Layton Lakes, but it wouldn't surprise me if there's something hidden in the game that suggests otherwise. Was the howling a subtle nod to Bigfoot? Or was it just an Easter egg teasing the release of Yukon Valley, where we got our first real encounter with the wolves? I've put the link in the video description below to an old video that has the sound that I've heard with my own ears. Go watch and take a listen and let me know what you think it is. As I continue my search for everything Bigfoot and cryptid related in the Hunter Call the Wild, my journey takes me to the frozen wilderness of the Russian taiga. Medved taiga has a unique storyline tied to its version of Bigfoot, the Chichunya, a legendary creature from Siberian folklore. You first hear about the Chichunya in the mission Chichunya Fignya, given to you by Alina Kasovovna, the warden of Medved taiga. In this mission, she explains, the gateway attracts many visitors, but not all of them are welcome. Some of the nenets traveling through your area have reported their food being stolen. Very unusual, especially in winter. Can you see if this is an animal problem, like a wayward lynx or a hungry bear? Your task is to investigate, leading you on a trail of very strange human-like tracks. The next mission, Chasing Chichunya, has you following those tracks deeper into the wilderness, where you discover the torn open body of a Siberian musk deer. The mystery grows as you begin to think, was this a predator or something else? Then comes the mission No Such Thing, where Alina directs you to another outpost. She warns you to stay alert, not just for the Chichunya, but for poachers who might be using the legend to cover their tracks. We can't conduct a scientific survey while some jokers are out here pretending to be Chichunya or Bigfoot or whatever she says. The story culminates in a meeting with Gregory Grankin, where you investigate a secluded cabin in the woods, and inside, you find the truth. A set of wooden feet revealing that Gregory was hoaxing Bigfoot sightings the entire time. Expansive Worlds did a fantastic job with this storyline. I love the incorporation of hoaxers, a theme seen in real Bigfoot lore and real Bigfoot sightings to this day. It's clear that someone on the development team appreciates cryptids enough to craft an engaging mission series around them. Whether you're a believer or you just enjoy mystery, this adds some great gameplay and immersion to the Medved Taiga storyline. This couldn't be a search for Bigfoot without a trip to Alaska, could it? Alaska has a rich history of Bigfoot sightings, and this map delivers on that history in their main storyline missions. On the mission, A Mine of Information, the Millerwood Mine Complex has been closed to the public since the 1930s. Jim Murray, the warden, said on his last flyby he's seen people walking around inside. There, when you investigate, you find a cell phone and some evidence of people breaking and entering. The very next mission, you are sent to locate a camp of these suspected vandals. In the mission, Gabriella Baden, Bigfoot hunter. Gabriella and her crew have broken the law, and Jim Murray needs to have a word with them. You begin to track them down. You find their camp, with the fire still burning and all their gear all around. You find a script. They are shooting a documentary about their searches for Bigfoot in the Alaskan wilderness. You find a bucket of Bigfoot bait that would basically only attract bears. Then, you hear screaming over the CB radio as her crew is saved by Jim Murray and fellow rescuers after she was mauled by a grizzly bear. There was no evidence of Bigfoot. The documentary was never completed, but hey, I did mention Gabriella Baden's failed documentary in this story, in this video, so I guess there's that. And again, I leave Alaska empty-handed, like all the other reserves. The next stop in my adventure to find the cryptid creatures of the hunter call the wild brings me to the New England mountains. This leg of my travels was inspired by fellow hunter called the wild content creator Doc. He has an amazing YouTube short about the Wendigo. It was very well done, and I can't add anything to it, as it's very good. So instead, I'll put a link in the description below to that short, which shows you how you can encounter the Wendigo in the Hunter Call the Wild. So a little bit about the Wendigo. Deep in the forest of the New England mountains, whispers tell of the Wendigo, a gaunt, malevolent spirit born of winter's harsh cruelty and human greed. The legend has it that this cursed being was once a man whose insatiable hunger transformed him into a spectral creature with a gaunt body and antlers of a deer. It is something to be said to embody the dangers of isolation and unchecked ambitions. Is this an omen? That the vast maps can be isolating in the Hunter Call the Wild? Or is this just a funny way for Expansive Worlds to tell us to face our fears and have ambition in all of our hunts? Check out Doc's short, check out his channel, and let me know if you found the Wendigo. My last stop in my search for everything Bigfoot encrypted in the Hunter Call the Wild brings me to the very famous place for cryptid lore and Sasquatch's famous cousin, the Yeti. I headed to the mountains of Sundarpatan in Nepal, and you would assume there would have to be something there about Yetis, right? You can't just go to the Himalayas without it being referenced at least once. Expansive Worlds wouldn't just sit this one out, would they? So, I set about to complete all the missions, and I'm glad I did. They centered around the Bengal tigers mostly, but there was one little nugget that I was able to find. Warden Asmita Gurung mentions the Yeti while you are completing a mission. She says, everyone in the world has heard about some of our folklore creatures, like the Yeti. I mean, it's a cool legend, and it's great for tourism. I would go on to finish the rest of the missions and scout the entire map, but I didn't find much trace of a Yeti. Maybe it is a thing of folklore, but I just wanted to believe. My trip was done. The search for Bigfoot in the Hunter Call the Wild took me to 6 reserves in 4 countries. I didn't get a picture or any credible footage. Maybe these cryptids are a thing of myths. But I choose to still believe and hold out hope. I think there's someone in the Expansive Worlds that is a believer. Or maybe they just want to hoax all of us believers. So, did I miss any other mentions of cryptid creatures in the Hunter Call the Wild? If so, please tell me those stories in the comments below. Also, do you believe in Bigfoot? I'd like to know that as well too. If you enjoyed this creepy Call to Wild video, please give it a like, as it really does help the channel. If you want more Hunter Call to Wild content, and I assure you it'll be more hunting related next time, please subscribe. And as always, fellow hunters, happy hunting.